Right, so we're live, and thank you so much, Mick Terrill, for giving me your time. I must add now, so the start that I've been aware of your name 5 or 6 years maybe, but I'm a bit of a wimp. So obviously I'm a big pugilistic fan. I used to box with my face as a schoolboy. But obviously, the days of how boxing started, the Greeks, it was like 1700s, tight underpants, big bollocks, and men stuff like that. Hasn't really advanced, and but obviously I've known who you are, and obviously Fergal, very good friend of mine. I love Fergal. He's actually probably the only person from YouTube who actually came. I've actually become friends with. He's literally, I love him. I think he's great. He speaks really highly of you. But obviously, going back to the start, Mick, how did you get into this kind of? How can I put it? It's obviously it's glamorous at the minute because you're the elite. You're the Mister. You're the guy who everyone wants to beat. But how did you get into it from day one? You know what I mean? I don't imagine you would. I watched one of Fergal's lives a couple of months back, and you actually haven't got a huge kind of amateur boxing background. Do you know what I mean? So where did it all? How did you just wake up one day and go, right, I want to become a Bareknuckle fighter?
I didn't. I started off just playing football, like as a normal kid. I was a goalkeeper. I went into centre midfield. And I think once I hit 16, I was only 5'4". I was about 15, 16. And once I hit 16, I shot up. I was like 6'2", 6'3". So I started playing centre midfield in the football. I was getting sent off and putting some dodgy tackles in. I was only 17, 18. I was playing in the men's league. And I was quite a good tackler as well, especially being in the men's league for being so young. And I just thought I might as well do something where I get a pat on the back, for like slapping people in the half. So I started Thai boxing, and that's how I started really. So I went to Bareknuckle, saw Thai boxing, and I spent my first 5 or 6 years there. I didn't start. I think I had my first fight at 24. I started training at 23. So I trained a year, had my first Thai fight. I think I've done Thai boxing for about 5 or 6 years, and then it was what's he called? Cowboys. Michael Quinn was meant to be fighting that Decker Heggie in Newcastle, and Decker had pulled out, so they needed a replacement last minute. And I fought someone from down your end. Actually, was Big John Lewis the year before.
Oh yeah, I know him. Well, actually, so I'm just trying to think. How old are you, Mick?
41.
So I'm 44. So like kind of when I packed in amateur boxing, I think I was in the old Vic ABC, which he kind of came through. But obviously I'm very aware of who he is and what he's about, and I think he did quite. Sorry?
John's younger than me. He doesn't look it. He definitely doesn't look at John. But he's a couple of years younger than me. So we're fighting in a tournament. Fergal was actually meant to be in the tournament as well. And when I got through the final, it was John I fought. And I caught John over on right, which dropped him, but I shattered my thumb in 4 bits. So I hadn't actually trained in about a year. And it was Dave Real from Newcastle. Phoned us up. He says, we've got this Bareknuckle fight. Would you like to have a go? And because before that, I'd already been offered off Shoe Armstrong to fight for it was UB bad back in the day. And I says, all right, how much is it? He went £300 a fight. And I just laughed at him. I said, I'm not going to get my face split open for £300 a fight. So I was getting paid a lot more doing the K1 at the time. So when I come to the Cowboys Michael Quinn fight, I think I got like $3.5 grand or something. So I took it on a week's notice and ended up beating him. And I just sort of snowballed from there, really. Anyways, I was chasing a fight that I wanted in the what was it called, the BKB, and I was chasing a fight which wasn't coming off. So I actually retired when I was 34, and I just sat in the city getting fat for a few years, and then come back. I think I was 38 or 39 when I come back, 23 stone.
Wow. So how tall are you, Mick?
6'3".
Right, yeah. So I suppose you've got the height. I like the fact that you just sat on a settee and go fat. I've been doing that for years without any potential.
That was my
So
favourite hobby, mate.
yeah. Do you know? So I mean, for people watching this, right? Explain to me, because obviously I understand camps and I remember asking General Gardner years ago, what is a camp? And so he was around in the late 70s, early 80s, and he said 6 weeks. These days, it's 12 weeks.
6 weeks for
So
me.
what is a camp? What is a training camp to someone who obviously you've reached your levels of bare knuckle boxing? As I said, God forgive me for saying this. I'm not really clued up on I know it's huge at the minute. My son kind of watches it, and I'm like, really? You know what I mean? It's like he likes all the MMA stuff. I'm friends with Alex Reed, and but you know, what is a camp for a fighter? Question number one, and number two, do you eat and live healthy? And are you kind of scared like a professional fighter would be?
To me, a camp is if you go off somewhere like Spain or something and do like a camp over there. I don't really do that. I just train at home. But for me, a camp, what you would call a camp, is me 6 weeks intense training where I train 5 hours a day for 6 weeks. But before that 6 weeks, I still train 5 times a week. I'll always be in the gym an hour a day, 5 times a week. And 2 seconds, maybe mate keeps texting us. Sorry. I'll be in the gym 5 times a week, and anyways, just out of camp, and I'll just train 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then when I get the announcement that I've got a fight, usually about 6 to 8 weeks, 2 weeks before the 6 weeks, I'll start picking it up. I'll maybe add a little bit of strength and conditioning in the morning, and then I'll just blast in for 5 hours a day for 6 weeks.
Right. Okay. So, and I'm right in saying there's no alcohol. There's no.
Nothing. I'm usually, what it is, like I've only just started drinking again this year. I've for the past 10, 15 years, I've only drunk twice a year. So this year, I think I've life's for living as well a little bit. So out of fight camp, like now I'm only having 2 fights a year. Back in the day, I was having 4 or 5 fights a year. So I couldn't drink. But when you're only doing 2 fights a year, probably have me fight, I'll have about a month where I'll just go berserk, having a party time, and then back in the gym.
Yeah. Is there any fights, Mick, where you've had it and you've just been like, you haven't took it seriously, and then you have the fight and you're punching a blow, and you think, oh my God, I'm in trouble,
Everyone has that, don't they? It's what it is? It's usually early on in your career. So in my K1 career, I think I was unbeaten, like 28 fights, and I was just beating everybody, and it was easy as well. And I fought a kid called Romelius de Silva, and I thought I was winning the fight easily, and then he told me IT band in my right leg, and I ended up getting stopped. And to be honest, I just wasn't fit enough, because I thought I was going to put him away straight away, and he didn't. He did this, so it took nearly about 8 months for that leg to heal. And I remember I was asleep. My wife says I kept punching in my sleep, because I was thinking I've been beat. So I was actually going to retire back then. I was only about 30, 31. And because I got beat, I think it just gave us a kick up the arse. So I thought, I've got to beat him. So I ended up being good pals with him, but I ended up fighting twice more and beat him the other 2 times. But I made sure I was mega fit as well, because people who don't understand, if you're not fit, you don't throw shots. And when you don't throw shots, you're getting hit. When you're fit, you see shots better as well. So the key is to be fit.
Yeah. So where is it in Newcastle you're from?
North Shields.
So I've got a good friend. I met him as like a 12-year-old boy, schoolboy boxing. Do you know? Have you heard of Andrew Buchanan?
Where I?
Yeah. Yeah. He was. As I said, I kind of boxed with my face, but I was born 1980, so I'm 44, but he was like the elite kind of kid, if you like. So I'm right in saying, Mick, that you weren't really kind of like, it's interesting. Obviously, everyone knows the name now in the Northeast, and a star at your craft, if you like. But you weren't the superstar, taken off. You've had a lot of years of dedication.
Yeah, well, like I say, in the K1 world, in the Thai boxing, I was decent. I was British champion, European champion, intercontinental champion.
Yeah.
I think I even won a world title as well. I mean, it was not a major one, but I won a world title K1. And then I only had 3 amateur boxing fights. I'd have 2 amateur boxing fights to get into elite ABAs. And I think I fought a kid called Michael Watson from Hartlepool way.
Yeah, I know he is. Yeah.
Yeah, I got beat on a split decision off him on my first ABAs.
I mean, how was it? So what I'm interested in is, obviously I'm a huge student to the noble art, and there's so many different ways. So in amateur boxing, there's the block, the parry, the slip, move back. You can't do. I think there's something like 11 defenses to the jab, but obviously, imagine trying to block and parry and an open fist to a guy like yourself. You just could not do that. What are the differences from boxing, Queensberry rules, gloves, to 10-ounce gloves? Obviously, sparring is 16 ounce, it's 18 ounce. To kind of open. As I said, that's how boxing started. But as I said, you can't block and parry. You just imagine trying to block a jab from a hefty fella like yourself.
You can't parry, you know what I mean? I use my hands a lot. I like to touch, and I think the best thing to do with boxing, being a Thai boxer, what I've learned, the best thing to do with a boxer is to stop him from jabbing. If a boxer can't jab, he'll not throw his right hand. And one of my friends taught us that years ago, was a kid called Graham Kelso. He actually got us started with the boxing. But he always says if he can't get his jab off, he can't get his right hand off because he doesn't feel in range. So what I tend to do is just touch the jab hand. If the southpaw, I'll touch it with my left hand. If the orthodox, I'll just touch the jab. And it just stops him from throwing the right hand at you. But I think at bare knuckle, it's hard to just do that, because if you do that, the fist still fits in. So you've got to more have your arms out and try to, parry upwards rather than parry, along. But I think the best form of is just get out the way. Get out the way, and get the strength when you can.
So you've got a question there from the inquirer. What's the money compared to, I've got, in the greatest respect, a guy on next week, Harry Matthews. He's a good fighter. I suppose ultimately he would be kind of called a journeyman, if you like. I understand how the business goes. For people who don't understand, it's the home fight. You keep them winning. I'm writing a book at the minute on a guy called Mickey Duff. But ultimately, you can make more money, I suppose, as a journeyman fighter. What is the financial aspect like, Mick? Then, I mean, what is it like
as a journeyman, as a bare-knuckle boxer?
Yeah,
it's hard, isn't it? Because if you're a journeyman in a bare-knuckle boxing fight, they're only 5 2-minute rounds, so you're designed to be explosive and stop the opponent. Whereas I think in the boxing fights, it's 6, 8 rounds with gloves on. So I think they can sort of hide and get out the way. Whereas the bare knuckle, it's that fast and explosive. You shouldn't get tired on 5-2s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like your opponent should stop you if you're a journeyman. The problem is once you stop, that's it. You can't fight for 30 days. And also you probably get split or cut. So I don't know what a journeyman gets paid. Boxing is about 1,200 quid, 1,500 quid.
Yes. Obviously these days it's like, the 4-rounders have came in the kind of 2000s, maybe the late 90s, but before then it was 6 rounds, it was 8 rounds, it was 10 rounds, 12, it was 15. Ultimately it is the same sport, but then again, rugby's played with a ball, football's played with a ball. It's different. And I'm right in saying, professional fighting, amateur is it's a million miles an hour, where you kind of, you're moving in, you're sitting in on your shots. Sorry?
I would disagree with you. I think in a 12-round professional boxing fight, I think they'll feel the way in. Usually the first 4 rounds, it's feeling your way in. And like, there's not 100% in every shot. There might be like, let's say a 5-shot combo, 4 shots might be tippy-tappy, and then the 4th one's a big one. The bare knuckle, I think, it's just, it's a sprint. Whereas I think a 12-round pro boxing fight's more of a, like an 800 meters to 1500 meter run. Whereas a professional boxing is a 100-meter sprint. You've got 10 minutes to hurt your opponent as much as you can. If you can do it in the first round, even better, But I think that the rules are better set when it's 2 minutes because, like I say, it's a sprint, then you shouldn't get tired.
Yeah, I mean, people don't understand. Like, obviously, it started boxing. It's a craft. It's an art. It's a skill. But you couldn't put Floyd Mayweather in the hay bales. A lot of his kind of craft, if you like, would be, it's just impossible. It's kind of more for your squat guys who are just kind of swimming, if you like. I mean, as a fighter, obviously in the industry, do you get nervous? I mean, when say, right, Mick, you've got to fight 2 months' time. This monster of a guy, he wants to take your head clean off your shoulders. What motivates you? I don't understand it.
It's funny because I never normally get nervous, and that last fight I had, although I think on paper Lorenzo was the favourite, in the bet notes, but really I was the favourite. I was bigger than Lorenzo. Usually if I go in and I'm the underdog, I don't care. I'd never get nervous, but for some reason on that last fight I got a little bit nervous because I thought if I don't win, I'm going to look stupid. And I think every fighter has that in them. It's not the fact of winning or losing, it's you don't want to look stupid because you can't blame anybody but yourself. If you're not fit, it's your fault. If you haven't studied your opponent, you've got the wrong combination, it's your fault. Because every time I have a fight, I say to my coach, I'll say, I've seen him do this, I think we should do that. And we'll go away and have a discussion about what we're going to do. So Andy, my coach, I'll say, I've seen this. Andy will watch him, and he'll say, I've seen that. And then we'll work on something, like we'll do that for that and do this for that. And we'll have a strategy before we go in. So if you get beat, it's your own fault because you should have a strategy. You should be fit, and it's down to you.
You got a question on the screen there, Mick?
What's the age of prime man and Bareknuckle? Don't know. It's I usually find Bareknuckle boxing, it's going to be an older person. Because I think if you start Bareknuckle boxing when you're 20, you're going to have so much scar tissue by the time you're 30, you're finished. So I think if you've got a boxing career, a pro boxing career, go with your pro boxing. When you hit later, maybe come over maybe 30 onwards. Because I think if you start Bareknuckle boxing at 21, by the time you're 28, your face is going to be like a chopping board.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a good friend who I love dearly, and I'm not into MMA, but when I'm with Alex Reid, you know him, I look and I can see his scar tissue across his eyes and his ears, and Alex is like the most aggressive person in the world, but he can fight like the devil. And I look at him, and obviously he's an actor, he's handsome and all this, and I think, Jesus Christ, you have been in some fights. Obviously, I can't zoom in and see you at the minute, but you're a good-looking guy.
Yes.
I mean, is that part of your thing? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, how do you deal with that?
No, I think the BKFC look after you. When I fought Arnold Adams, I got 42 stitches across my face, but they hire like really good plastic surgeons. So I got internal stitches, external stitches, stitches under my eye, and they've done a really good job. I was that impressed with them. I was going to ask if they could give us a penis extension. You know what I mean?
I wasn't expecting that. You caught me. So obviously, how old are you now?
41.
Right. So these days, so in the art of boxing, back in, I remember Audley Harrison won the the Olympics and the Commonwealth actually. So he was 10 pro, 29, and he was ancient. He was old. these days, because of the training and the conditioning, as a heavyweight, you should probably actually, I do a lot of studying. I've got Junior Waiter's book coming out this year. I did a book on Dominic Negus. A heavyweight as a fighter the peak they reckon is 31. What would you say, kind of, because obviously you sound, Mick, like a late bloomer.
I would obviously. I had my first boxing fight, I think, at 30. You know what I mean? But I wasn't a heavyweight till I was 34. So I didn't even have a heavyweight box. I used to fight heavyweights, but I was still only 13 stone. So a couple of times I fought a kid called Alex Foreman. I weighed in at 88 kilos, which is like 13, just under 14 stone. And he weighed in 128 kilos. So the problem I had is when I was cruiserweight, I couldn't get fights anymore. So I ended up having to go to heavyweight. So I was ended up giving loads of weight away just to try and get another fight. So I think I've been lucky as well. I don't do drugs. I've never had a drug in my life. I've never smoked in my life. I used to only drink twice a year. My only vice was cakes. So I was lucky. I just lived the life,
I was just going to say there, so what's your vice? Do you know what I mean? So you don't do drink, you don't do drugs. So there's somewhere along the line, everyone has a vice, whether it's cross-dressing, whether it's swinging, whether it's, do you know what I mean? There's somewhere in life, and I'm just trying to work out yours. So obviously you're a clean living guy. There must be some kind of vice in life what you do which makes you tick. What is it?
Cakes, ice cream, sweets. Do you know what it is? I'm lucky. I've been married 20 years now, 19 years, I think, this year, but I've been married 21 years. So I think, I was lucky. I settled young. I was 19 when I met my wife. So never had kids early. So I think, when you've got kids, and I wanted to be a good role model for my kids. So I was always keeping fit or doing something or trying to get my kids involved in something. So I was never really involved in the nightlife. That's the hardest part, when you don't drink is, when you're early on as a fighter and you're trying to sell tickets, but you don't go to the pubs. So I remember Barry Norman, when I first started selling tickets, one fight, I sold 10 tickets. I was over the moon. And Barry was saying, what's the matter, mate? You've got 10 brothers. And I went, I just don't drink. So there was kids that weren't as good as us that were going to the pubs and were selling 100 tickets, 200 tickets. And I couldn't do it. As times went on, I probably sell about 500 tickets a fight now if I'm at home.
Wow.
But it's back in the day, I've had to do that just on merit. People want to watch your fight. But back in the day when you don't drink and nobody's seen your fight before, nobody wants to watch.
Yeah, so I've got a book coming out this year, Junior Waiter, and basically he was the opposite to that. He could not sell tickets, but he wasn't the away fighter. He thought, I'm going to win area. There wasn't an English title then, so there was British, Commonwealth, European, Intercontinental, and then the world. But he said, you know what? If I look back on my career now, as a 50-year-old, he said, boxing is a business, or pugilism, bareknuckle, whatever. It is ultimately a business. You're a businessman. It's as important. I'm going to be with Frank Warren the next couple of weeks. It's important that as it is with that. But he said I didn't understand. And, to any kind of young fighters these days, the first thing a fighter, a promoter will do, a manager, was do you know what? Rather than skill, they'll look at him and they'll think, does he look good? And what's his social media like? Now, that sounds terrible. But ultimately, in 2024, that's how the industry works. Obviously, as I said, I've been very aware of you the last couple of years. Fergal, really, he's actually probably my only one friend I've ever met on YouTube that I would trust implicitly. I love him. I think he's great. And so if he says to me, "You're all right," and you come across actually as the good guy, but in your industry, if you like, being a good guy doesn't work. It's like it's the bad guy. Junior Witter was the pantomime baddie. Everyone loved to hate him, and people bought tickets from him, wanting him to get knocked out. Have you had things like that, Mick?
No, I've been lucky enough because I think I'm just very trustworthy. So if you tell us something, it's in confidence. And I think over the years, because I tell you what happens in gyms. This is exactly what happens. every gym, you're going to have some little old people that's in there, and they're vultures. And what they're doing, right, they're watching for their new prospects. And what happens is that they go into a gym and they'll say, he's going to be handy. I best take him under my wing and he can look after us later on in life. So every gym has these, right? And then I think what happened was I've been in gyms and I've had the older people, like, come with me, I'll make you a few quid. But every person I've worked with, I've been trustworthy, So when that one person says, "Oh, I've got Mick under my wing, you can trust him," eventually it starts going around. But like you say, it's been like I've been lucky. I'm trustworthy and like I can actually have a fight as well. So I keep my mouth shut. I don't tell tales. I don't say anything that's untrue. And if you tell us something in confidence, it's kept in confidence. So I think that's how I start getting around. Like people, you can trust them.
So that's exactly how I saw you, and ultimately how you've just explained yourself. And people, a few people said to me, "Let's go, did oh, I'm going to watch him. He's calm, he's polite, he's well mannered." That doesn't kind of come across. These days it's all drama. He's a see you next Tuesday. He's a grass. He's a blah 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 blah. All nonsense. You're proper nice guy. Looking in. Has anyone ever said to you, any fight promoter, said, "Oh, Mick, this nice guy image doesn't work. You need to be a bit snarling. You need to be a kind of thing."
Maybe it's at the beginning, but I think like in time, and I've just kept like beating people. I think they just think that's who he is. But I always just think, if you pop your head up enough, it might get shot off. So I like to just keep under the radar. You know what I mean? I like to just keep your head down. I mean, it's a nightmare now because I can't go anywhere now without people, asking for a picture. Or I mean, I tell it is. I've spent my whole life working on a building site, so I like having a laugh with people. I like practical jokes, and I like when people do back to me. But I was at my pals, but I don't know if you know him, Angry Bob, Ginger Cullen, Angry Bob.
I know of him. I don't know him.
It was his 80th birthday yesterday, and I think one of his nephews, he mustn't realise it was me. And he's put my hand on my shoulder to talk to Bob, and then he's realised it was me. And he went, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put my hand on you." I was like, "Mate, sound." I mean, I'm not going to chop your head off because you put your hand on us. I'm just a person, just the same as you. But it's funny how people treat it different, when they find out you can fight. Whereas, on the building site, it doesn't matter what you are, everyone takes a piss out of you. So I think that's where for the past 20 years I've worked at a building site. Everyone gets ripped.
Yeah, I mean, these days I work inside in a nice warm building, but I understand that, and there's no kind of you're sweeping floors or whatever. There's always people take the mick out of each other just to make the day go faster, and you seem like a guy who there's no airs or graces, and people are comfortable to do that with you, and they're very, very likable. So what's the plan for Mick Terrill now? As I saw, you're 41. I don't know, maybe someone who's not clued up on the industry, looking in. I think probably you've got maybe, am I right in saying maybe 4 or 5 good years?
2 or 3, I think. It's I think it is. It's more that time, isn't it? It's your body starts dropping a bit, and like.
So it's father time.
I mean, your knees starting to blow out, and like the past 2 fights, honestly, I've been riddled with injuries. So when I fought that partner Banks, in Newcastle, I got burgled about 8 weeks before the fight. So I pinched my kid's bike, so I found him and I battered him, but I broke my foot when I was doing it. And then I slipped the 4 discs in my neck when I fought Arnold Adams. So I've had a trapped nerve in my arm for a past year and a half, which meant when I fought Arnold, my left arm didn't work. And then when I fought Lorenzo, I broke my hand twice. So it's like, I think my body's just starting to say, "However, you've had enough." But do you know what it is? Like, I get injured, right? And people go, "No, you're injured, you can't train." Of course you can, for me left foot, when I broke my left foot, I just done my hands. I mean, took the weight off my foot and done my hands. I went on the exercise bike. When I broke my right hand, I just worked on left hooks and jabs. When I broke my left hand, I worked on right hand. So you've just got to work around different things, It's like, don't just stop. If you stop, you'll just end up fat. Because it took me about 3 years to stop being fat. When I sat on Saturday, I was 23 stone, and I swear, because you think you're getting fit, and then you watch yourself on the telly, and it's like I've got tits jiggling around, and I've got a little muffin top, and I'm looking at how I think you're gonna have to sort yourself out, yeah. But it's hard getting the weight back off. Once you're fat, it's there. It's hard to get it off.
So, what's the highest you've ever been, Mick?
23 stone. Of absolute.
What are you now?
About 17, 18 stone.
Jesus, what? So you what? 5 stone? 5, 6 stone? I mean, how?
Just perseverance. Just keep going to the gym non-stop. I started doing weights. People think weights puts weight on you. It doesn't. If you do weights a certain way, the weight is the best thing for like cutting up and losing weight. So I train with a kid called Benny Paul. And what we do is we do pushing and pulling. So we'll do chest and back at the same time. So we'll do high reps, like lower weights. So like we'll only bench 100 kilo. And then what we'll do is we'll do like the bench, and then we'll go and do something on my back, something else on my chest, something on my back. And honestly, it just shreds you down.
Yeah. So I was friends with a guy called Francis Jones, British Commonwealth challenger from Darlington, and he said to me, the quickest way to lose weight is doing weights. And I'll take his word for it because he's lost a lot of weight. So obviously, boxing is always went hand in hand with villainy. Right back from the days of the American Mafia. Oh, great! He's a fighter. We'll latch onto him. The mob were well into. It wasn't Frank Sinatra. It was Sonny Liston and all that. Have you had people trying to target you as well, Mick? Kind of almost trying to put the claws at you as if, he's a fighter. We'll be mates of him. We'll use his name.
Of course, if you're decent in a gym, you're gonna get it, But I was always kind of like, I would never get involved in the crime bit, So, I mean, don't get us wrong. Like, you're gonna go out there and they're gonna introduce you to different people and open different doors, and they're gonna help you as much as you're gonna help them. All them want is a little bit of security, but they're gonna introduce you to some certain people that it might not be like villainry, but they might say, "I've got this kid that's got a kitchen company. He'll help you with your house and your kitchen," or what I mean, because these villains seem to know everybody, and they're like a little key. It just opens up so many doors. So
yeah,
I'm already
yeah, you've got to be switched on. You've got to, I suppose, and you come across, you always, I'm not just saying it's going to be, so you've always come across very gentlemanly, but I suppose I'm right in saying, Mick, that you kind of have to come across, it's almost you've got to use them as like they've got to use you, so it's almost been really brushed up on your people skills.
It's funny because, obviously, you'll meet someone, you'll come back and people will be saying, "Oh, have you heard about them?" And I'll say, yeah, but I know what I'm getting myself in for. I'll not do anything I don't want to do. So you know what you're getting yourself in for, and you know why they want to be. If you couldn't fight, they didn't want to be your pal. You know what I mean? It's like I'm a boring person. You know what I mean? I've got shit crack. So they're not my pal because I've got good crack. They're your pal because you can fight. And it's like, this is my friend. He's a boxer. So you all think as well, like, well, yeah, I'm your friend, but what's the give and take?
Yeah, do you know something? So I'm trying to be. That's just really rang in my ears. So being boring, if you like, is the new cool. I want to be boring. It's kind of, it's not very nice going out hammering yourself, people slagging you off on the internet. So being boring is the new cool, and there's a lot to be desired. Staying in on a weekend and being boring. Do you know what I mean? That's how I wanted to be for the last couple of years. So I mean, do you drink these days or no?
Sorry?
Do you drink these days?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the past couple of months I went berserk, I mean, I'm lucky, I don't drink very often, but when I do go out, I can have like a bottle and a half of whiskey and still get myself home fine. I can drink whiskey all day when I do drink. So I'm quite lucky. I don't know if it's just because I'm bigger, I can handle me drink a little bit better, but I like drinking whiskey when I do go out. When I go out, I have...
What kind of whiskey?
I like a Scottish. I like Scotch whiskey made like a single malt. I mean, I'll drink any whiskey. You know what it is? Like maybe Paul Andy were in the airport, right? There was a bottle of whiskey, and I think it was like €10,000 for this bottle of whiskey, and the kid let me have a taste of it down the airport. Now it tasted like normal whiskey. And then people going, oh, it's delicious. And once you put a bit of coke in it, it tastes like whiskey. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't care what I drink. But I tell you that Conor McGregor's got a proper 12 apple whiskey. If you have that apple whiskey with a cloudy apple juice, honestly, it's like juice. It's you just drink that all day.
I mean, my favourite is, so I named my son Jameson. Obviously, it means Jamie's son, but
Yeah.
I absolutely love Jameson. So that's kind of my personal favourite. But it kind of has, particularly when there's a full moon, I do turn into a werewolf.
Honestly,
Do you know what I mean?
Try apple juice with whiskey. It's mint.
I've never. I've got Scottish heritage. I'm a proud Scot. I've never had. I was in a pub today, and the only thing I will ever have in my whiskey is ice. But so Mick Terrill, kind of, as I said, you said you got 2-3 years. So people watching this, how many? You're going to dedicate yourself to your craft. You're all in. You're a clean living guy. You're pretty boring. I love being boring, kind of thing. And how many fights have you got? Your kind of the rest of your life planned out?
I reckon I could probably do 3 to 4 fights a year, be fine. The problem is we're getting paid that much now. It's they can only afford to make you fight twice a year, can't they? So I'll probably still about 4 or 5 more fights left in us.
Right, and I mean, without being nosy, is it an industry? You said you could. I've been close to a lot of fighters over the years. They're called personal friends. Your Gary Sykes, your Josh Warringtons, and I know that unless you've got mega sponsors, you can't go full time as a boxer unless you're probably at least European level. What is it like as a bare knuckle fighter? I don't know.
I do okay. I do all right. I've got a nice house. I've got other property. Got a nice
all right. So you obviously have done you obviously have done well. You haven't pissed up the wall. You have actually made out the game.
Well, I'm an electrician by trade, so I've worked all my life as an electrician.
All right, that's good.
So before, I mean, even when I was still fighting, I always worked alongside it. It's only been the past couple of years I haven't really got to work, but back in the day, I had quite a bit of property, but they're killing you with the second property tax now. So it's, I know, getting rid of the property and then spend a lot of money on holidays, and I've had a lot of luxury holidays, but I've always worked and fought at the same time, so I think that's the key, and I've got a good work ethic. So back in the day, I used to get up at, when I train now, I still get up at 5 in the morning. I used to get up at 5 in the morning, go to the gym, go straight to work, get back to the gym. I'll be in the gym for 5 in the evening, then I'll be there at 9 o'clock at night sometimes, so it's like a full, from 5 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night, you're out the house training and working. But now I just do 5 in the morning till, I usually train at about 1 o'clock. So I get up at 5, take my dogs out, get the gym, start my first class 6:30, and I'm there till 1.
So, am I right in saying, I remember speaking to someone the other week and I was completely flabbergasted. He said, you know what, as a boxer, a professional bare knuckle fighter, the road work is not that much of a bigger thing. Now, these days, the perfect, years ago it was all 8 mile and all. That's no good for you. So they reckon the perfect length is 5 to 6 mile for a professional fighter. As a bare knuckle fighter, is that something that you do, or is it not? Is it more strength and condition? Is it?
I do 3 mile every day, every single day. So
7 days a week.
6 days a week. So close up to fight, I might do 3 mile twice a day. So I'll do it in the morning, and then usually what I'll do is I'll get up, take the dogs out, get straight to the gym. I'll do strength and conditioning for about an hour and a half, and I'll have a little rest. I'll probably do, depending on when my coach has got someone in to do pads, I'll either do a 5 kilometre, which is 3.1 mile, and then I'll do 10 rounds of pads, and then I'll do some sprints, and then I'll do a couple hours of weights, and then I'll come back and maybe do some more pads and sparring.
So sparring as in 16, 18 ounce gloves?
Yeah, I always wear 18-ounce gloves. The problem is, like, I'm quite fortunate I punch hard, but if I wear 16s, I'm going to mock me. It's breaking your toys, and I don't want to break my toys, so it's hard for me to get a decent sparring partner. So when you get one, you don't want to break them. So me and Fergal were actually on about this the other day. When you're sparring, if I've got someone and I've got to make sure I can hurt them, so I get on the rope and I hurt them. But if I hurt them, I'll step away and let them recover. You get some people trying to knock their sparring partners out. I cannot understand that, because they can't spar you next week. They've been knocked out. So usually when I'm sparring, I want to make sure that they know I'm there, but I don't want to knock them out or seriously hurt them. I just, a couple of times I might, if I know they're hurt, I'll just tap them and move the way.
I mean, have you ever kind of spent heavily on sparring partners in your camps?
Well, I spar, especially if you go to another gym. I mean, I spent maybe 5 years of my life just going on the road, sparring at different gyms, and you're fighting for your life. When you're going into someone else's gym, they're trying to kill you. So I'll go to someone's gym and I would get Shark Tank in their gym. So I would end up sparring 4 or 5 different people in their gym, and I would never get a rest. I would just be, sparring and sparring and sparring. So you're fighting for your life. You get a fresh opponent every round, but it is. I think it just gives you a little bit of heart and toughness, and you can do it in your fight. If you've done 10 rounds with fresh opponents, you can do 5 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, so has anyone got any questions for Mick? So what's just before I get to the questions thing is what's the future now then for Mick Terrill? As I said, you've got a couple of fights left in your 2 or 3 years. You're 41. Is there anything left to accomplish in the game?
Need to get rich, really. Just get rich. Make it is. He's got to make some sound investments. Property's getting harder now because the interest rates are going up, and I don't know what's going to happen with the property at the minute. The interest rates are that high. I don't know if my sister-in-law's trying to rent somewhere. It's that expensive to rent, but the margins are much smaller because the mortgage rates are that high now. So property's not a great investment at the minute. So you just got to try and find something that's going to do well. And then you've got businesses, shops are shutting all over because everything's computerized now. So you've just got to try and stay in the game and find something. So trying to just get buying into companies. I think that's what I'm trying to do at the minute. There's a company out there and I feel good at buying into it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, as I said to you, that I do not do drama, but there's some people on here that need drama more than oxygen. How do you deal with kind of people going, right, I'll fight you, blah, 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 or we'll spar, and they're using your name, if you like, as a form of energy?
I get it every day now. Half the time it's of Americans, Me and you need to fight, and I take everyone serious enough, so I'll have a look at the profile, and I'll say that they've had 2 fights in the whole entire life, and you laugh it off, but some of them, you get a lot of people there, I want to fight you now in the street, and it's Fergal had it. Somebody says they wanted to film me and Fergal in. A few months ago, they were coming on the door with a dog, saying,
yeah, he told me about it, and I'm not going to go into it, but it's see, do you know what? There's a lot of loons on the internet, and I'm a loon magnet, and I find these people fascinating to study. As I said, the guy who, Fergal's the nicest person I've ever met on YouTube. He's actually someone I would call a friend, and I trust implicitly. And for anyone to kind of start on Fergal, it's why? Why would you want to fight with him? He's the loveliest guy in the world.
I think that off us. I think it's just because he trains at O'Toole's. This kid that used to train at O'Toole's, I couldn't even remember him. Fergal told us his name again. I couldn't remember him. And then I don't know, it was something to do with the gym years ago. And anyways, he took it out on Fergal. Fergal trained there. Fergal didn't even have a clue who he was. But Fergal's like me. If you ask Fergal for a fight, he'll have a fight with you. He's that type of kid. He's from the same town as me, actually, Fergal. He only lives down the street. So I think...
Yeah, Fergal's quite young as well, isn't he? I'm 44. I think he's probably about 33, something like that. But he's the nicest... He is the nicest guy on YouTube.
He is, but he's the oldest looking 34-year-old you've ever seen. I swear to God, I've known Fergal years ago. I come in the gym years ago and he was 19. And I always thought Fergal was a bloke. You know what I mean? So like, I'm a few years older than Fergal, so he comes in the gym and he goes, "Oh, it's my birthday." I went, "How old are you?" Like, he went, 19. I went, "Fuck off, man. No, you're not." He went, "I'm telling you, I'm like, Fergal looked that age when he was 19. He's like, he hasn't aged that much. So when Fergal was 19, he looked 40. You know what I mean? So he was that size, that build. He's the oldest looking 19-year-old you'd ever seen, you know. But
Yeah, he is. He's like, as I said, I've never heard anyone say a bad word about him, and you know, it's like that's crazy. Really, you think I will go to a fight with him because you know, if I was that way out, I could definitely think of better people to have a fight with than Fergal Allenby.
he's a big puncher. Honestly, he's a really big puncher. I
He's
tell
just a
everyone this,
gentleman
you
as
know.
well. He's, you know what I mean. He's not. He's as he's someone I've known him for a couple of years now and trust him implicitly, and he doesn't do drama. As I said, there's people on here that do drama more than breathing, and that's never me. And I don't think it's you. I've watched some of your stuff last couple of years, and I know you have once or twice responded, and every action is a reaction. But it's Martin Luther King said, "Show me someone who has got no haters, and I'll show you someone who's got no success." And it's something like I didn't know how to deal with it years ago. I do now. I just kind of laugh it off, and people will slag me. And it's a sign. It is truly a sign of success. I mean, did you learn? Did you always know how to deal with it, or was it something that you thought, "Hang on a minute, I have to learn to do this"?
No, obviously, in behind closed doors, I think I want to smash that kid all over. But you've got to learn not to project that onto like a public platform. So firstly, you might get material. You know what I mean? So like everything that goes on in my head, I don't always project out. I'll store it for years to come. I might catch him later on. You know what I mean? But if someone says something, it never gets forgotten. I mean, I'll bash the kid that picked on us at school 20 years later or something. And like,
Wow.
I'll meet me coach and I says, "No, but it's in the black book." He was a few years older than me. He picked on us for a couple of weeks, you know. And then, because he was a lot bigger, he was my size back then. So I was only 5'4" at the time. So I caught him and I stuck him a clip, dropped him in the bread aisle. But like my pal guns, it was 20 years ago. I went, "Well, that was yesterday to me." Everything that
Yeah.
happens gets stored. It's all stored in there in the little memory bank. And then when I catch him, I think, "I remember you. You've done that to me." So I just
I
don't
mean,
project it
that's
onto
something we never touched on. I mean, were you bullied badly as a kid?
no. But I mean, he didn't really bully us. He was just a couple of years older. He clipped us one day at school, and I just thought, one day I'll get you back for that. But you know what it is? I think that's how I done so well. You know, like the fight and the sparring when I first went into Barry's. Obviously, at the time when I first went to Barry's, I was 18 stone, 6 foot odd, and it was basically there's a big kid can't chin him. So all the pro fighters at the time, I'd jump in the ring, they would all bash us in. But every time I got bashed in, I would sit and I think, "I'll get you back for that. I'll remember you for that." And then one by one, I would end up getting them all back. So like, I think obviously I'm projected as a nice person, but I'm quite vindictive as well. I just keep it to myself. I don't want that doesn't get out on the public. I just keep it in the back of my head, and I think one day I'll get you for that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm kind of well known, if you like, I suppose, for doing 20+ books, and what you've just said there reminded me of the Lee Duffy journey. He was terribly bullied, you know, and he kind of, you know, it's almost cheesy, but it's a real story. He kind of grew up, if you like, and he went and got the bullies back and beyond. Has there ever been a case with you where you've just been like, you know what, okay, I've got him back, and maybe I am becoming a little bit of a bully?
No. Like I've never bashed anybody that didn't deserve it, you know. But like I say, that kid that in the Asda, he was 3 years older than me. He was 6'2" or something. I was 5'4". I don't even know why. I think one day I was just sat in the bus and he slapped his pokers in the eye and spat on my bag. I've got no idea what it was for, you know. I don't think I've said anything to him, but I just thought one day I'll be your size, and when I am that size, I'll get you back. But I've never hit him since. I just caught him that one day, you know. In fact, it was funny. I caught him the week before. I hadn't seen him for years, and he was in the barbers, but he had his son with him. His son was little. I had my kids in the barbers, and he was called Daniel. I went, "Daniel, remember me? Of course, I'm his size now." And he's went, "Yeah, I do, yeah." I says, "If I catch you out, your kid, I'm going to belt him." And he went, "Okay then." And then it was literally a week later. Hadn't seen him in 20 years. I caught him twice in a week. So I saw him in the cake aisle. I was like, "That's him." So he tried
In
to
the
walk
cake
away from
aisle
the
of all
bread aisle.
places.
I walked into the bread aisle and I went down. I think he just went down. I think I just slapped him, And,
So obviously he understood why.
yeah, I would never just bash somebody in the street. You know what I mean? It's like I wouldn't go looking for trouble, but if you like, there was another one I was talking to Paul Matty Turner. We'd been out in town years ago, Black Eye Friday. And one with Paul's Paul Brownie's called. He was starting to work his cell a little bit, and I didn't like the trauma on me. So like me and Matty were all Thai boxers. Matty's a heavyweight at the time. I'm a cruiserweight. Paul's a middleweight, I think. All quite tough kids. Paul's worked himself in the town. So I says, right, I'm off, he's kicking off. I says, Matty lives in Shields as well. So me and Matty's getting back home. We went at the pizza shop in North Shields, Pizza Corner it's called. And obviously I didn't want any drama, so I was sat there. I had a grey jumper on. Matty's got a red jumper on with a Christmas pudding on it. So it's Black Eye Friday, it's Christmas, and it's got a giant Christmas pudding on. And as kids keep coming at the front door, and it's snowing outside, it's freezing. And he's keep leaving the door. Me and Matty's just talking. And every time you get a cold blast of air, I was looking at the door. So I'm looking over, and then he was talking out of it. And this young kid, I'm saying young, we would have been about 29 or something at the time. He was about 24. And this kid just come in the shop. He went, "You daft cunt, you over there in the great jump, I want to punch your head in." So like I'm looking down the shop to see like who he's talking to, and I'm looking at Matty's jumper. His is red. So I'm looking at Matty and I'm thinking, well, it's not Matty. And I'm looking at someone else, and I've looked at mine. I went to Matty. I went, I think he's talking to me, And the kid went, I am talking to you. You daft cunt, come outside, see what happens. So I just looked and I went, are you sure? He went, I am fucking sure. So anyways, I went out and I belted him all over. But it's something I didn't look for him. So anyways, I've left him outside. I've come back and the pizza shop dogs went, thanks for that. He's been kicking off all night. So I sits back down. So he's still lying outside. So I'm sits back down and I'm just waiting for my pizza. And about 5 minutes later, he's obviously woke up and he's come back in the door and he went, you daft cunt, come outside and me and you'll have a fight. So I'm looking over at the thing, I've just chinned you, you know what I mean? And then he went, you in the red jumper. And he's trying to pick on Matty next. So I think he was just going in there, just kicking off. But if he asks us for a fight and I'm out, I'll have a fight with you. I'm not going out for it.
Yeah. I suppose you have to be extra vigilant, and as I said, I suppose it sounds like you do weigh your possibilities up and think, hang on a minute, I'm going to get arrested here, because it doesn't sound, Nick, like you have ever been any kind of like professional criminal.
No. I know a lot of them, but it doesn't. I always went to work. The best way to make money is going to work.
Yeah.
I seen an article on Facebook the other day. If you're young and you're looking for money, the best place to go is, and then a pause and I went, go to work. But like you see them all, they're all sat in jail for years, and I just think I might not have as much money as you, but when I'm sat there having an ice cream on a Saturday afternoon at the beach, life's much better for me. You know what I mean? It's
yeah. Do you know what? I can personally say there's a lot to be desired for being boring and kind of. Obviously, your passions are being fat and ice cream and cake.
it's the kids, isn't it? It's the kids. I had an incident a few weeks, years back. I thought I was going to go to jail years back, and something had happened to me dad. Got them back, and they phoned the police. So, anyways, I thought I was going to get a few years in jail. And I swear to God, you come back and I'm looking at my kids and I'm thinking, he was that big, and I'm thinking, by the time I get out, he's going to be that big. I'm looking at the other one, he's going to be that big. And I think the thing that keeps us grounded is I've got kids, so I'm just thinking, I try and avoid as much as I can and not go to jail. I would hate to miss my kids growing up,
Yeah. How many children have you got, Mick?
I've got 3 and a grandkid.
All right, so you're a granddad?
I had become a granddad last week.
Oh, wow. Right, okay. So if anyone's out there watching this, Mick Terrill, thinking of I'll have a fight with him for a name, I'm going to go and granddad bash him.
Right. Me father-in-law was taking the piss out of us the other day in front of his pals. And I was just laughing away and I went, do you know what they call us now, Genus? That's his name. He went, what's that one? They call us the Nana Plower. He went, Chaz, Michael, that's my daughter. But
yeah. So what's the plan then for you? I mean, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the links in the bio. So if anyone's watching this, obviously very, very likable character, very approachable. Anyone wants to reach out to Mick Terrill about anything, regardless, kind of boxing business or whatever they have. So I'm going to click on the bio, put all your links in there. I think it's Instagram, it's Facebook. You said you've got 2 or 3 years left in you, 4 or 5 fights. What we're in now, it's actually August next week. Are you still passionate more than ever for the sport, for training? What's the plan?
I like fighting, you know. It's like, do you know what it is? My granddad was no different. My granddad was 70. He would still have a fight in the chip shop, my granddad. You know what I mean? But it's like, I like fighting. It's something that I'm good at. I enjoy doing it. I want to do it as long as possible. It's like, it's funny, you know, like, there's a couple of young kids in the gym, like, and they'll be pals as well, you know, and, you know, because I've always sort of schooled them sparring and boxing. So they're like, one day I'm going to chin you. These are your pals, you know, and I'm like, yeah, although one day you will chin us, but it's not the day. It's not the day. So I think when you start getting beat in the gym, it's time to call it a day. And so I'm just waiting for someone to give us a good hiding, really. That's what I'm waiting for next.
Do you know? So I've got a book coming out with the minute called Nick Manners. So he was a guy who fought Joe Calzaghe, flogged Paul Sykes, and basically in that world, if you like, he said the old lion will face the young lions. And anyone knows what the old lion, you know, they've been a king of the jungle, but towards the end of their life, it's very, very tragic. You know, they've had the territory taken off. They can't hunt anymore, so they lose weight, and they basically fall to bits. And these kind of young cubs, if you like, go around looking for fights of them, just basically to get a name. Has it ever been like that with you, Mick?
When I was younger, you know, like, I never went looking for it, but, you know, if the older fellas come in the gym and they've got a bit of a name, the sport gets a little bit tastier, doesn't it? But I've sparred just about every tough kid round where I live, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know what it is? Never try to take the piss, never try to, you know, like, diss them. I never talk about sparring. You know, like, if I spar someone, it gets kept between me and them. I would never go and call someone because sparring's totally different. It's usually, you know, like, if someone's got a fight coming up and you're sparring that person with a fight coming up, you might get the better of them and spar him. But earlier in that day, he's done a 5-mile run. He's done 10 rounds of pads. He's done strength and conditioning. He's already done his weights. And then he's sparring you on the back of it. And you're just going and sparring. So people sort of, that sparring was really good, or this one was really bad. And but it means nothing. If you've got a fight coming up, you should be tired. You know what I mean? You should be exhausted.
Yeah, Celtic beat Man City this week, and it's like, and Rangers lost to Birmingham, and it's like, hang on a minute, it's pre-season. There was probably jumpers for goalposts down, and that's quite well explained what you put. You know, I've just batted Mick Terrill, but do you know what? He's just fought, he's training, and that's how the industry works. I'm very familiar with it. I know how it. You know, as I said, I only really boxed with my face as a kid. The only thing I got out of boxing was I had my nose rebuilt 10 years ago. But I've been around, I know the industry, and I've done a lot of books, various, I still will do. And a lot of people won't see how grown up. You've just explained it. They just go, oh, well, I've just had a fight with him and I battered him. And yeah, it's... not everyone is just towering that troll out there. Do you know? Sorry, it's just that's to me. It's, do you know what? I never acknowledge trolls, but it's like, why do you? Like, it's almost like it's a goal that they're making an account up and it's been blocked, and it's like, I'll make another one up to get it. It's unbelievable. But does that bother you? You know, you've had a lot of success, so. With success comes hate and complete utter losers like that guy. How do you deal with that? Because it took me a couple of years to get used to complete pond life like that.
Pen is stronger than the sword. I'm actually quite intelligent, so I can usually, when I can argue with people online a lot better than what I can fight. So if someone kind of fighters and they think they're going to type something, I'm actually quite intelligent and I can type something back just as witty, just as whatever they want, you know. But usually, you know, like when I do stuff, it's like wholehearted. It's like you say, nothing. I don't try to purposely put people down or anything. So when I argue, I've got a good argument.
Yeah, you seem a really, really likable guy, and as I said, Fergal, he's the only one that I would. He's the only one I've ever became friends with on YouTube, and so if he says you're all right, then you're all right. But you know, I remember being around Stephen Sayers a couple of years back, and he said something like, "If you live by the sword these days, you'll die by the pen." And I've never heard that, but I thought, you know, that's so right. Um, but you know, these people kind of they'll see it as like a goal, if you like that. They've got through and called me a fat knobhead with a bad haircut, and I'm like, well, I already know that. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, I never take myself too seriously anyway. I'm the first one to laugh at myself, but I wasn't like that years ago. Well, obviously I was, because I've always been a little bit wacky, but I understand it now when I understand how it all works. And, you know, I say to the wife sometimes, I get nasty messages, but I won't even tell her. But years ago, I wasn't like that. And do you know what, mate? You seem like a proper, really, really likable gentleman. Very, very humane, very humble. Almost kind of too good to be true. I don't know if people will be watching this will think, hang on a minute, there must be some fault somewhere. He's into cross dressing, or he goes dog. Like,
No. Do you know what it
there's
is?
this.
I think
God,
I'm lucky. I've got a good wife. You know what I mean? I think that's the key to success. Every good man needs a good wife. My wife's
yeah,
kept us humble. Like, honestly, like, it's funny enough because, like, I can't out, you know, people are afraid to say anything to you, and I'm like, just say what you've got to say. It doesn't bother us.
yeah.
Just tell us what's on your mind, you know. But my wife will tell us what's on her mind, you know. So I'll come back, and I think every good man should be afraid of his woman, you know. And like people go, "Ah, you're afraid of your wife," but no, it's not that I'm afraid of her. I respect her opinion enough to understand what's going on, you know. So my wife will keep
Am
me
I right in
grounded.
saying, Mick, that kind of obviously you can have people calling you out and kind of fights, but I mean, I'm the same with my wife. It's like if you know she'll walk into a room and go, "You," and everything about me will drop, and I'll get really, really scared, and I'm like, you know, I've watched an interview before, Tony Bellew. He said, "I've never been scared of anyone," and but he said his wife will come in and say something to him, and you are genuine. I'm scared. I'm kind of under the thumb, if you like. But are you like that as well, where you just like you are really scared?
I don't think it's I'm scared of my wife. I just respect her that much. If she says something, I know she means it. And usually, my wife talks a lot more sense than me. So if my wife tells us something, and I've been a knobhead, my wife might go, "You're being a cock," and I go, "I'll have a little think about it because I'll think, no, I'm not," and I'll think, "No, she's just right. She's right. I am being a cock." It's not that I'm scared. I just respect her opinion, you know. So she keeps us grounded in many ways. I think if it
Yeah,
wasn't for my wife, I would 100% have been in jail though. I would have took stupid chances. My wife tends to
yeah.
just reel us back in, get back in you now before you get into jail.
So you got a question, make it a cook, chosen. Yeah, completely understood. Do you know what, mate? You're a lot more humble, and as I said, I don't want to be disrespectful, but I'm not a fan of. I mean, listen, I know the box industry. Box Rec is the biggest website in the world, and about 5 years ago, they contacted Warcry Publishing and said, basically, I was amazed when they said it. They said, "Oh, that guy really knows his stuff." And so I'm a proper anorak. I know how the world works, the boxing industry, and but you're very more likable than I thought. You know, I've always been aware of your name, probably maybe 3 or 4 years. I couldn't sit down and watch Bareknuckle boxing, but I really respect you because I know the skill, the level of training. You know, put some 10-ounce gloves on. Queensberry rules. Am I right in saying your industry is all about the Lord Marcus of Queensberry rules? Anyway,
What's that? Sorry.
so you're not into this kind of dirty goals, if you like. It's all everything you do is respectful anyway, and under the Queensberry rules.
You're a little clinch. You're a little dirty box a little bit. Um, so I think that's the only that's a major difference as well. People, you know, like boxers come into BKFC. That's why it doesn't get classed as boxing. You know, when we go to America,
Mm.
it gets classed as martial arts because you're all out to grab the back of the head and punch upwards. So it's obviously dirty boxing. A lot of boxers can't grasp that. You know, that's why the MMA lads are doing so well. But I think back in the day, Queensbury boxing, you were allowed to kick, punch, everything. You allowed to trip, you know what I mean? But it's the proper Queensbury, but then it turned, it was that Lonsdale changed it into proper rules.
Yeah. Was there anything you wanted to add, Mick, before I let you go? As I said, anyone's watching this, I'm going to share the shit out of it later. I'm going to put on all the pages. Anyone wants to watch this and kind of reach out to Mick on Instagram or Facebook, click on the links. Very approachable, very friendly. Was there anything that you wanted to kind of add?
Oh, I'm sorry, mate. I've got not really a lot to say, really. I just, you know what I mean?
And 3, 4, 5 fights left in the game.
I'll tell you what I could say. We've got a show in 2 weeks' time, the Straightener show at Walker Dome. If you want to, we've just getting on that show. We've got a wheelchair boxing fight. We've got a
Really?
We've got a little Todd. He's a dwarf versus Keza. Keza's not a dwarf, but he's a midget. He's a normal person that's just short. I mean, he's 5'7", but he thinks that's tall. It's definitely not for Keza, like. But so he's fighting at the Todzilla as well. So got some decent fights on as well. Good K1, Thai boxing, some boxing, Bareknuckle boxing, and hybrid boxing. The 4-ounce boxing glove.
Is there any links you can send me for that, and I can put it in the video? And anyone who fancies watch,
I'll send it on.
Yes, literally as soon as, because obviously we're live now. But anyone who fancies going to that, speaking to Mick or watching him, then click in the bio for this video. And so you've got a question there: will Mick rematch Arnold Adams?
If that's what it's here, I don't ask for fights. You know, it's like we're waiting for the Ben Rothwell fight. I think something's happened with Ben, and something's happened with the drug test. You know, so he's got to do another test in September. If he passes that, I'll definitely be fighting Ben Rothwell. Arnold Adams is the best person I've ever fought. He's so deceiving. He's so deceiving. He's like a coiled spring. He'll spring back. You cannot say he's the best kid I think I've ever fought. If that fight comes, I would love to, because he's beat me. I've beat him. It'll be, like the rubber match. But Arnold's the best I've fought, like up to now. And anyways, I'm guessing Ben's gonna be Ben's enormous. I don't know if you've seen Ben. He's like a huggy bear, you know. So that's gonna be a hard fight. If I get through Ben, I'll definitely love to fight Arnold again.
And then, 2, 3 years or whatever, do you think there's going to be a day where you will walk away in the sunset, hang your gloves up, and then just walk off with Mrs. Terrill and eat cake and pies?
I would love to, but you know what it is? It's you've got the new breed of fighters coming in, and say we've got a couple of fighters in the gym that I tell you what I like doing now, because when you used to train people, padding them. I think if you're getting padded right, you need someone else watching you to see what you're doing wrong, because even padmen can make mistakes, So I like when the padmen's doing the fighting, I like to say, like, you're standing in the wrong position, you need to turn this way more, maybe tilt your head off the line that way. I like to watch people being padded and get in there with them and say, like, try doing this or try moving that. So I think really the next step is to progress the next generation of fighters.
And you've just got a last question there. Would you go to UFC?
Too old, man. 41. I don't think they'll take us at 41. It's I'll fight anyone. You know what I mean? If someone says, "Go on, I want you to fight him," I'll fight. But UFC's the elite in it, and I'm 41, and the probably.
Yeah, I mean, are you actually going to call it a day? Because Nassim Ahmed retired without telling anyone. I remember talking to Alex Reed, and Jake Paul was talking about having his first MMA fight, and Alex called him out. And you could go on and on forever. I think Alex is 50, just gone 49, so he's obviously coming at 50. Had 300 fights. He's had a lifetime of fighting, karate, your kickboxing, your MMA. Am I right in saying when you're a fighting man for life? I was talking to Danny Christie this morning, and he's very impressive. His skill level, his boxing IQ, his ring generalship, it's like watching Kevin Mitchell. But do you think he'll be called out forever, or do you ever think you could be a time where you go, do you know what, have a day off, mate, I'm not fighting you, even when you're 60, 70, 80?
The best thing I think I've ever had with me fighting career is, when I go out, I can sit with my back to the window, and I know for a fact nobody's going to sly us. I
Yeah.
think that's the best thing I've always treated people with respect. So when I go out, nobody wants to bash us. It's usually, I'll get my picture taken with anyone. If you come over, I've got time for everyone. And I think that generally people don't want to, you get, like you say, like the old villain, tough kids. People want to knock them out just for a bit of a name. I'm lucky
Yeah.
when I get out, everyone just wants to be me pal, so I've been lucky that way.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know whether you know the story. So I did 3 books on Paul Sykes, being signed to be a film, and he was hunted in packs for a sport. The kids would obviously he used to be Paul Sykes, but
To be
kids
honest,
would.
I'm not surprised. I'm not
Yeah,
surprised.
yeah, yeah.
From what I've heard, he wasn't a nice person.
Yeah, completely. Do you know what I mean? But there's a lot of lies tied to his name. You can't judge anyone for being gay for the state if you like. But yeah,
And that when he's
it's
raping them, I think it's
no,
madness.
no. Well, do you know what? I spoke to the chief of West Yorkshire Police in 2020. I spoke with the Wake Lupset police officer in 2018, and I spoke to a guy called Phil Wheatley, who's the Home Secretary of Offending, who used to be a whole prison governor for over 20 years. And I asked him that, and I said, "Listen, mate, it's old fools sitting on YouTube, but for making stuff up, but." I've met everyone, and I've met Chris Lambiano, who's lived next door for 3 years, and a lot of lies will get told. And a guy whose book I've got coming out this year, Nick Manners, he said, I lived there, I was in with him, and the screws will say if you behave, I'll put you in Sykes. And I've got no. I'm just dealing facts.
I know older fellas who've been in the same jail as him, and they says it was definitely going on.
Well, in 12 years of serious research, I've heard a lot hearsay, but I've never, and the level of I do not care whether, all I am is a researcher. I've got no emotional ties to your Lee Duffy, your Roy Shaws, your Paul Sykes, or whoever, Dominic Negus, whoever I've did. But I deal in facts, and there isn't any facts. And that's just the fact. Pardon the pun.
He hasn't been caught. I mean, if a bank gets robbed and nobody gets caught, doesn't mean the bank hasn't been robbed. You know what I mean?
Well, would you keep something like that quiet? Because I wouldn't.
But if you've been raped,
yeah.
Would you want anybody to know you've been raped? It's like that old joke, isn't it? It's be like if I was to take you camping and you were with a large group of pals, and then you got really drunk and you passed out, and one of your pals took you back to the tent, and you woke up, there was a used condom in your bum. Would you tell anyone?
Do you know what? As I said, I did it.
I'm going to go camping. And, I'm going to go camping. You know what I mean? But it's like a lot of people would be that embarrassed they wouldn't tell anyone.
I'm just dealing with facts. Do you know what I mean? I've had all the hearsay, and I've sat and been around people who, prison officers and people who did time with him, and I've never met a victim yet. I've heard a lot of hearsay, but I've never.
Stop it. So I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there, but I know people who've been in the jail with him and says he was doing it, and they don't tell lies. The people I know saying, "No, he's a dirty bastard." But like a prison officer can't say, "Yeah, I know he was doing it," because then he should have been stopping it.
I interviewed a guy. So there's a guy on YouTube called, I forgot his name, John Tales from the Jails. Now I had him on the live twice. So what he said to me was very, very different to what he's telling the whole of YouTube. So he was a prison doctor, screwing in strange ways. And I asked, anyone can go on his channel and click on the link, Tales from the Jails, John Sutton. I asked him outright. I've got no need to lie. I'm fascinated watching Adolf Hitler's body language. I've done books that I fell in love with. People like Jan Thompson from Wallsend. I actually had posters on my bedroom wall of him, and I went on to do his biography. And so they're the people I admire and grow up. And the Paul Sykes story is not any different to the Lee Duffy story. I actually, So I did 3 bestsellers on Sykes, I did 3 on Duffy, and I did 2 documentaries. But I didn't know him. I've got no emotional ties. If you want to slag him off, doesn't
I
bother
mean,
me.
I've never met the bloke. He probably started before I was born, you know. But like, I know people that knew him, you know, and he wasn't well liked. And to be that hated, something's happened, you know. I mean, usually, you know, when you're a boxer, you're a local hero, you know, especially at his level. Got a British title, didn't he? Usually, people want to see you win from your local area. It just seemed like
Yeah,
for
but
people
obviously he fought
not
for the
thinking
British in the Commonwealth back in '79. So
it's
back
gone
in
out
that
on that.
time, it was more of a, to win a British title in '79, it was like the level of winning a European now. As I said, I've just not heard. I've heard so many, but I've done my investigations. And I've spoke to your Peter Furies, your Eddie Richardsons. I've spoke to people who've done years and years and years of him, and they said, listen, if any of that went on, he would not have been allowed to walk with us. I don't care how hard you are. Um, was he gay? Absolutely. Was he gay for the stay? Yeah, it's not my thing, but that doesn't mean you're some kind of sexual deviant. Um, he was quite. It was something he did in prison, and he didn't do it outside. And I've spoken to so many villains, your showers and all this kind of thing, and I just can't find any evidence, because I would be the first to put it out on here. But I don't know, mate. As I said, it's mixed emotions, mixed different opinions, and he's not here to defend himself. I don't know. It's a fascinating story. You've only got to, these days he's a crazy guy on YouTube talking about punching sharks in the ear. Western Edge have signed to make the film in 2017. They're gonna, the Joe Calzaghe film. Um, they obviously see his story as unique, and I think it is personally. And I know when it does happen, he will kind of be a household name, if you like the Essex Boys, like the Crays, like the Charles Bronsons. I don't know, mate. It's not for me to judge. I'm sure people will be out there and they'll go on and talk about it. But yeah, it's part of the fascination with him. But is there anything you wanted to add, Mick, just before I let you go?
No, that's us. That's us done. Aye, that's us done. Then
Do you know what, mate? I tell you what, regarding talking about Paul Sykes, you're a lot more likable than someone like that. And someone said to me, "Oh, well, if you were about in '79, or if you were about in '88 with Lee Duffy, would you have liked him?" And I'm saying, probably not. But would I have found him interesting? Absolutely. But you are actually really, really likable, mate. I can tell you're genuine. And as I said, if Fergal kind of vouches for you, that's good enough for me. So if anyone wants to kind of watch this and reach out to you, as I said, click on the bio and the links will all be there. Mick's very, obviously you are kind of a scary guy, if you like. I've seen some of your pictures. I've watched a little bit of your fights, and but you're very approachable. You're very humane. You're very humble, down to earth. And what's not to like regarding Mick Terrill?
don't know. I don't know.
So, do you know what, mate? It's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Well, listen, I'm going to follow the rest of your career with interest, and I'd love to get you back, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's not often that I speak to someone, an ex-fighter, if you like, or a fighter. A lot of people. I remember interviewing Duke McKenzie earlier this year, and kind of all these old fighters, if you like. The people will come across and think, "Oh, he's almost like he's just discovered fire." Oh, Neanderthal, and you're not like that. I'm just as a question before I let you go there. Would Mick ever fight Danny or Venice?
Different weight categories, aren't there? Danny's a lot littler than me. Danny's a tough kid, but he's a lot littler than me. I think Paul's going down to cruiserweight as well. Me and Paul were meant to fight each other years ago.
Right.
I think I was a cruiserweight, he was a heavyweight. For some reason, I was available. I don't know what happened, but it disintegrated, But Paul went on, I think, to become a born-again Christian after that, So he changed his life around. He's doing well. He's come back, but they both be pals. But if one day it says you have to fight them, you've got to fight them. It's like it's prize fighting, and it's nothing personal against. It is. I say this to people: would you play football against your friend? Of course you would. I spar my friends every day. If I've got to fight one of my friends, that's what you're going to do. You know what I mean? It's not nothing personal. It's just a game to us. It's a game of boxing.
Yeah, yeah. Venice done very, very well. I mean, I don't understand about K1, but obviously, I actually did his book a couple of years ago. He's obviously used the sport as a vehicle to turn his life around. I mean, is that something that you'd ever consider in a couple of years, doing kind of a story, if you like?
I don't think there's a lot to say about this. You know what I mean? I'm quite boring. It's I've had a few people ask us, you know, like I've had a few things that's happened to us over the years. I probably have to try and remember them, you know, but like I'm probably not
Yeah,
very good
I mean,
at
obviously, you know, I've got Junior Waiter's book coming out, and Ricky Hatton basically called him the Steve Davis of boxing. He said he's hardly missed a personality, but he conquered Everest. He completed his sport: British, Commonwealth, European, Intercontinental, not a world title, but the WBC. You know, I'm right in saying that you've kind of completed your sport. Is there anything left to achieve in your game?
everything I've done. I think I've hit like I've been up there at the top, you know. It's I mean, even the Bareknuckle, I started off with the Irish one, that knuckle. I won that one. I won the BKB world title. I've won the BKFC world title. I've won it at two different weights. Yeah, I started the knuckle one at cruiserweight, went up to heavyweight, won the BKB one. I'm now BKFC world heavyweight champion. I'm pretty sure the Rothwell fight might be super heavyweight, so I might be another weight champion if I can beat Rothwell at that. K1, I was cruiserweight, light cruiserweight, heavyweight champion. So like, I've had quite a good career really. I kind of grumble.
Mm. And yeah, it's really admirable, mate. As I said, you know, I wouldn't say, all right, I'm going to spend the weekend watching bare knuckle boxing. But, you know, I really respect you and take my hat off to you, because you've dedicated your life to a craft, and, you know, you've had to focus and forget them other little bits on the side.
It's a boring life. On a Friday night, you're not going on the drink with your pals. You come to bed, getting up early for Saturday morning. You know what I mean? It's really, you know, like I was on about this to me pal the other day. I've missed out on so much, you know, like partying, drinking. But then I've had kids as well, so I've missed out on anyway. So I'm looking.
I mean, do you think there'll ever be a time when, I remember talking to a boxer years ago called John Simpson, and he said, you know what, like, he wanted to, he obviously was a devil for the drink, and I said, you know what, just forget about it. In a couple of years, you can do all that kind of crap. And I remember talking to him a couple of years back, and he said he regrets it because he didn't live the clean life. And obviously, he should have been at least European champion. He was British, he was Commonwealth, but he underachieved, in my opinion. And I don't think that will be something you consider. And do you think there'll ever be a time where Mick Terrill is in bars, sitting booze in 45, 46, 47, reliving his youth because you never did 20 odd years ago?
Probably not, you know. Like I don't think I've missed out on life. I mean, like I say, I thought, you know, like I've missed out on the drinking. I've had a good life. My kids, I've got two. My kids have moved out. One's just had a kid. My kids have got good jobs. So I think the goal in life is to have your kids do better than yourself.
Yeah.
All the people right. My kids have got good jobs. They're now moved off doing their own things. I've still got a little one back in there. He's only 14, me little one. But I think I've accomplished life. You know, my kids are doing well.
Yeah. And do you know what, mate? On that note, I'm happy to finish. You're very, very, very likeable. And not everyone in your industry is as likeable as. So anyone's watching this and kind of discovered Mick Terrill for the first time, click on the bio and give him a follow, Mick. It's been an absolute pleasure, sir. Thank you so much. And let's do a part 2 in a couple of months.
No problem. Cheers, mate.
God bless. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
What should we do? I'll see you later.